Wow, what a night. A clinic in bad basketball we had tonight. And I don't think there's anyone that could disagree with that. A clinic in bad basketball. But what we saw late in the game from Geno Auriemma was a clinic in how not to behave, a clinic in how not to carry yourself. And I don't care if you've been coaching for 4 days, 4 hours, 4 weeks, 4 years, or 40 years. The way Geno Auriemma carried himself tonight, an example for no one to ever follow. And we all know why it happened. So let's jump on in. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. We talk facts over feelings here. Like the video and subscribe and hype the video. Leave your comments. Follow us on social, Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball. But what we saw tonight, beyond the fact that it was a horrifically played game, both games were horrendously played, by the way. But UConn South Carolina was a horrendously played game, and I mean, I thought it couldn't get worse, and it got worse. But with Texas and UCLA, but sometimes in life, you gotta take your butt whipping. You know, you gotta take the butt whipping that you got. And tonight, UConn and Geno Auriemma were handed a butt kicking. They were given belt to ass, particularly in the fourth quarter when South Carolina put the game away. It was a 5 point game going into the fourth. It looked like it might get away from UConn in the third. They cut a 10-point deficit down to one after leading by a deuce at half, and then went into the fourth quarter trailing by five. And the game got to within 46-44, and it never got closer than that as South Carolina pulled away to win 62-48, largely behind physical basketball, atrocious shooting by AZ Fudd and Sarah Strong. I don't think tonight's game was some microcosm of exceptional defense either way, because let's be real, South Carolina averages upwards of 85 points a game. They only scored 62. And UConn averages 87 or 88 points a game. They scored 48, which was their worst game in I don't know how long. But at the beginning of the game, Geno Auriemma contends that Don Staley did not shake his hand prior to the game. Now, we saw a video to the contrary. However, there may be multiple handshakes that take place by the head coaches before a game starts, just as a matter of formality, I guess, and tradition or what have you. Because initially there's a video showing Don Staley shaking all the coaches' hands from UConn, and they all shaking all the coaches' hands from South Carolina, like a coach's line. But then after the player introductions, there's apparently a mid-court handshake for which Geno Auriemma says was announced, and he's done it all. It's always done, he says, and I'm not going to not believe him. I'll believe him. But he says he stood there for 3 minutes and Don Staley never came. So his displeasure and his irritation by this snub, he carried on throughout the entire course of a 40-minute basketball game. He waited until the end of the third quarter to have a bitch session over Don Staley and his perceived slighting in foul calls, which were 17-8 for South Carolina at the end of the game. His perceived belief that his players were getting mugged, and I'm not going to disagree with him. I thought it was a very rough basketball game. I think it was rough both ways. I think the biggest problem is that when it's rough both ways, how do you officiate a game like that? And it can turn into a situation where one team gets called for a lot more fouls. And that's what happened. And it created a pretty sizable free throw disparity, which really was the difference in the basketball game. But what Geno Auriemma did at the end of the game, well, first, let's show you what he did at the end of the third quarter. So here is Geno end of the third quarter. They're trailing 44-39. And this is Geno into the third quarter. All right, so let's start off with the ripped jersey. The ripped jersey, they didn't see it because she did it to herself. Sarah Strong ripped her own fucking jersey. Like, bro, they didn't see it because she did it to herself and it's on video, bro. Yeah, was she fouled on that play? Yeah, I would say she was. I saw the play. She got fouled twice on it. And I'm not disagreeing with his feelings on the officiating. I thought the officiating was, thought it was inconsistent. But that's nothing new for women's basketball because they fall all over the place. They're uncoordinated. They're unbalanced. And they trip and fall. And a lot of things that might be fouls or might look like fouls aren't called fouls. And things that might not be fouls are called fouls. And vice versa. It's all a mess. But no, they didn't see her jersey get ripped because she ripped her own goddamn jersey after the play was dead and the quarter had ended. So you look stupid there, number one. But maybe Sarah Strong hadn't said to you, Coach, I ripped my own jersey. I need a new jersey. And maybe she was embarrassed or whatever. That said, he's complaining about Dawn Staley and saying she's ranting and raving. Yeah, Dawn Staley, she's like him, man. She's gonna fight for her team. She's gonna. Oh my God, she may have cursed at the referee. Who gives a shit? You do too, bro. Stop acting like you're some born again Christian at 72, bro. You ain't following Jaden Ivey's plan, for Christ's sakes. Let's stop it. Stop it. So that was his rant, partially uninformed rant, end of the third quarter. And I get it. You're fighting for your team. I understand it. I'm not even going to argue with it. I'm not going to argue with it. I think I would expect any coach to do that. I would. And I got no problem with it. But then at the end of the game, he has a meltdown where he basically goes off on Dawn Staley because apparently that lack of a handshake at the beginning of the game bothered him so very much that he starts yelling at Dawn Staley. She starts yelling at him. And you get this at the end of the game with about 0.8 tenths of a second left. And you get this.
The officials will hold the players now. Dawn and Geno getting into it a little bit on the sideline as Geno has to be held back.
And Dawn Staley ain't fucking playing, man. She's like, I thought that shit was hilarious for such an unentertaining game. But needless to say, he apparently told Dawn Staley, you ain't shake my hand at the beginning of the game. And she's like, fuck that, I did. And he has a meltdown about it. When the absolute reality of this is that, and I took the volume off, but the absolute reality of this is that if his team was winning, there's no doubt in my mind that the snubbing, that pregame snubbing for a handshake would have been completely forgotten because he would have been celebrating a victory and a trip to the national championship game. Instead, Geno Auriemma acted like a fucking bitch. Like, cut the shit. Instead, Geno Auriemma acted like a fucking bitch, and he embarrassed himself. And do I think he cares? Not one goddamn bit. He does not give a shit. But he acted like a hoe. And he brought out that massive level of feminine energy that so many men's basketball coaches who coach women's basketball carry themselves with. Emotionally unstable human beings who have tempered tantrums and rage and get rage baited constantly by bullshit, have to create things in their own minds to make excuses for their failures. And today, Geno Auriemma failed as a head coach. He failed. He failed. He failed. They lost today because Geno Auriemma failed to prepare his team for what Dawn Staley brought his way. And he was fucking embarrassed and he couldn't take the result. His 38-0 team that won 54 straight games, that had beaten everybody by double digits, with the exception of one game early in the season, busted his ass, particularly in the fourth quarter when it mattered, and sent his team packing 62-48 in the Final Four. I picked UConn to win. I've been picking UConn all year. And in complete transparency, I have never liked UConn. And when I say never, I date this back to 1991. Like, I don't think y'all truly know, because you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. That this goes back to 1991 when the Miami Hurricanes women's basketball team was playing UConn with Frances Savage and Vicky Plowden and all these women who were ballers for the University of Miami women's basketball program under Fern Labate. And Geno Auriemma came on as a young and upcoming coach, and he took our fucking cookies. He did. He took our cookies. I've never liked UConn. I've never liked Geno Auriemma, ever. I'm not going to discount his success. Yeah, he's a great coach, probably the greatest women's basketball coach of all time. But I've never liked UConn. So when people say you have an axe to grinding comments, no, I don't. I picked UConn to win. I like being right. That's it. I like being right. And I think most people like being right. Do I think South Carolina fans act like some fucking hoes too? Yes. Do I think UConn fans act like some fucking hoes? Yes. Do I think Texas fans do the same? Yes. Absolutely. All of them do. All of them. LSU fans? Yes. This is the one sport where I cheer for players. Unlike any other sport, men's basketball, men's baseball, MLB, football, the whole nine. I am not a player fan. I'm a team fan. So Tyreek Hill leaves the Miami Dolphins and goes somewhere else. I want the Miami Dolphins to take his goddamn head off. It's that simple. It's that simple. If Aaron Judge leaves the New York Yankees, I want the New York Yankees to throw a pitch at his fucking dome. It's that simple. I'm a fan of a team. Now, I am a fan of Aaron Judge, and I'll say I'd like him to continue to be successful against everybody not named the New York Yankees. But when it comes to women's basketball, I am a fan of players. So I cheered for Iowa with Caitlin Clark because I love Caitlin Clark. I cheer for Hannah Hidalgo. So I cheer for Notre Dame because I love Hannah Hidalgo. I actually like Lauren Betts very much. I cheer for UCLA, and I hope UCLA kicks South Carolina's ass on Sunday. I do. Full transparency. I don't like South Carolina either. I don't. I'm not a fan of their style of basketball. It borders on wrestling and football. It reminds me of 1990s NBA, New York Knicks, Miami Heat, except that there's no Knicks to the Heat or Heat to the Knicks. And really, the closest thing to the South Carolina is Texas. And they lost tonight playing that brand of basketball because Madison Booker couldn't hit a shot. Horrific performance. So, yeah, I am cheering for UCLA against South Carolina. And I hope Lauren Betts gives Carolina the business. I do. But I cheer for players. And the only reason that it looks like I'm cheering for UConn is because I picked them to win. That's it. And I like being right. But Geno Auriemma acted like a fucking hoe tonight. He acted like a bitch. And in the post game, he says the same shit. 41 years, da 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 da. Who gives a fuck? You can go watch. You can go Google it. This is a commentary. Geno Auriemma has been a temper tantrum hoe for a long ass time. He talks shit about Caitlin Clark. I never liked that motherfucker to begin with. And y'all think that I'm cheering for UConn? I ain't making friends here. I don't give a goddamn who really wins. This is the one sport where I genuinely don't give a fuck. I genuinely do not care. And I'm cursing more in this video than I've cursed in a lot of videos in the past of late because it gets annoying because you just don't know me. You think you do. And the haters who come on my channel all the time to talk shit. And I love you too because you're watching my video. And you guys comment more than the people that like me, which is always weird. The haters will always comment more than the lovers. It's just the way it goes. But you are him acting like a hoe tonight, and he's acted like a hoe many, many times in his career because I think men who coach women's basketball are femme. They have feminine energy because it takes feminine energy for a man to coach women in basketball. It takes feminine energy for a man to coach women, period, in sports. I don't have feminine ass energy. I cannot coach women in anything. I'm too mean. They would hate my guts. I mean, they would hate my guts worse than they could ever hate Geno Auriemma because I would say some of the foulest shit to them that they would never want to see me again. And I'd probably get fired because I coach dudes. I would coach women the exact same way I coach dudes. And if you can't take it, get the hell on. The teams that I've coached have won at whatever level because I take it seriously. But guys like Geno Auriemma carry feminine ass energy. They have temper tantrums that you don't see from men's basketball coaches. You do see temper tantrums, men. Like, I mean, you could say UConn Hurley behaves the same way as Geno, but I think Geno's worse because I think Hurley just carries himself with a swag, whereas Geno carries himself like a bitch. And he acted like a goddamn bitch tonight with that move with Dawn Staley. Shake her fucking hand, you punk. And if you had a problem with something, speak to her about that crap after the game. Because the reality was she did shake your hand, and maybe she failed to do it a second time. But don't sit here and tell me, Geno Auriemma, that at that moment, you carried that shit on for 2+ hours and waited until the end to bitch and moan like a little fucking girl and start some beef because she kicked your ass tonight. I don't think either team played well. I don't think either team played great defense. I think that was really a lot of bad offense. but they had your number. She had a better game plan than you did. Your game plan, I thought, sucked. Sucked. And you lost. And had you won, we all know that you would have walked down that lane, shook her hand, and walked the hell on. And you wouldn't have thought twice about it. But because you got your fucking ass kicked, because you got belt to booty, belt to ass, you had to make a scene and take the shine off of what South Carolina accomplished tonight, which was ending your 54 game winning streak in the Final Four and taking your fucking soul. So, is this the end of Geno Auriemma? I don't know. I doubt it. He should probably retire. He's 73 years old coming into next season. How much more of this guy do you want to watch? I have no idea. Maybe you want to watch plenty more of him. I couldn't care less. I hope UCLA kicks South Carolina's ass because I want Lauren Betts to win. Because I had them winning last year. I was on their gravy train last year, and they took my belief in them out. Tonight, they handled Texas. It was ugly, but they were better than Texas. They were better. And I think the game on Sunday will be a lot better than these two games we just watched. There'll be higher scoring. It won't be in the 50s or 40s or low 60s. It'll be a better game, I believe. But yeah, I hope Lauren Betts gets it done. But Geno Auriemma, he acted like a hoe, bro. I mean, just that simple. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell. So if I have an axe to grind, I just called Geno Auriemma a bitch asshole like 20 times on this video. So I must not have that much of an axe to grind realistically. Y'all have a great night. This is Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.